Hi and welcome to the in-store observation assignment, which is not going to be performed as a field observation today. Rather, it's going to be performed with the help of eye tracking films. I've used this exercise for many years, and it's often followed by a kind of understanding that I sort of really enjoy to help students get. I don't know how it's going to work now online, but we'll see. It's basically going to be that you're going to get the instructions, you get a couple of articles to look at, you will get access to 5 eye tracking films. That would be, you will be able to see what 5 shoppers have seen when they have visited Swedish grocery stores. And then we will conclude. First you will draw some conclusions in your groups, and then we'll meet up and discuss it on Teams at the end. So that's basically going to be what we do. I think the reason for this exercise is that I've met with a lot of people in the industry, fast-moving consumer goods industry, or basically any kind of industry, who think that as soon as they have the product on display or on the shelf in a store, everybody pays attention to it. And there are many brand owners who, I think, exaggerate the importance of their brands. They think that shoppers see the brands as rich as they do. And I think that's not always the case. Even brands that we buy a lot or often, we don't necessarily have that rich experience and that rich understanding of all the brand associations and so on that the typical brand owner would have. So I'd like to sort of shed some new light on that. But at the same time, on the sort of from the other perspective, I've just been going on about that 2/3 of all purchase decisions are made in the store. So how can that then be true, that the store is so fantastic and selling, and at the same time shoppers don't really notice the brands? Well, we will be able to discuss that during this exercise. So the exercise will be that you get a couple of articles, Hoyer 1984, and actually Dixon and Sawyer 1990 did the same kind of study, and the methods they use are exactly the same thing that you will do now. They observed shoppers in stores, noticed how much time and effort they spent in front of brands, and they hit the marketing world with surprise when they showed that in an aisle with several hundreds of products, an average shopper spent only 13 seconds, and most of the time they only paid attention to actually one of those hundreds of brands on the shelf, and that was the brand that they were later going to buy. Sorensen, 2003, he invented something called the double conversion method, or double conversion rule, where someone is first a visitor, and then when you start to pay attention to a product you become a shopper, and then when you actually buy it you become a buyer. So I think that's sort of a neat modal or way of looking at things. We use that kind of double conversion method a lot, so I thought I'd share that with you as well. And then the idea is that you should also have a quick look at my chapter 2 in the book from 2011. Chapter 2 is basically my doctoral thesis, and it's I think far too complex for you to comprehend at this stage, because it's, it takes a day or two to read, so now you have only some minutes. But orient yourself and sort of start to look at it, look at the headlines and try to figure out what it's all about. I think we'll go through it again on Wednesday morning, so you'll have more time then. Okay, if you have time, I would like you to at this moment also to make some notes on your thoughts. Otherwise you will do that later after your group has talked and we have talked. But before we do anything else, I thought I'd have a look at an eye tracking film This is not the same eye tracking film as you will see. Eye tracking cameras come with, or actually eye tracking glasses come with two cameras. One is directed ahead of the shopper, and that is the big video that you see. And then another camera is directed at the retina or the eye of the wearer of the glasses, and therefore you can see the saccades, the movements of the pupil of the eye, and also the fixations when the eye is, or the pupil is standing still for more than 200 milliseconds. Then this red dot appears. On the film clips that you will receive, you don't have these red dots and saccades, so that's why I show you this instead. So you will only see the forward directed video. And I think this table is what's perhaps the most interesting from Heuer. As you can see on the bottom line, it says 13.16, so that's the number of seconds that the average shopper spends in the aisle. You can see that the 0.72 is the number of packages, or that's the frequency of the people who examine only one package, the one they're going to buy. In 83% of the cases, you see that they only shoppers only pick up the package that they're going to buy. And you can see that in 95% of the cases you do not compare any brands. In 89% of the cases you do not examine any shelf tags. So yeah, I hope you will enjoy this assignment, and I hope you will learn something, and I wish you all the best luck. And then let's touch base again in Zoom or in Teams at 20 to 3.